The orbital station Velar 7 hung in the darkness between three star systems. It was the largest military academy in the known galaxy. Ships came and went every hour, carrying supplies, instructors, and young cadets from dozens of worlds. Today was special. Today was the first day of the mixed species program. Captain Park stood at the observation window and watched a transport ship dock at the lower bay. She was 42 years old, with short black hair and a scar that ran from her left ear to her jaw. She had earned that scar on Earth during the Third Pacific Conflict, when a piece of metal from an exploded drone had nearly taken her head off. She did not hide it. She never had. "The new cadets are arriving," said Lieutenant Ho Shin. He stood beside her, his hands behind his back. He was younger than her by 10 years, calm and quiet, with eyes that noticed everything. 200 aliens, 50 humans. "I know the numbers," said. "The aliens do not seem impressed by us." "They never are, not at first." The transport doors opened, and the alien cadets began walking into the station. Watch them through the window. There were tall reptilian with scaled skin and proud postures. There were small who looked like upright rodents with large eyes. There were the clicking and buzzing as they moved. There were the feline with soft fur and quick movements. And there were the aquatic, their skin shimmering with moisture, breathing through special masks. They were all young. They were all eager. And they all looked at the human section of the station with expressions that ranged from curiosity to dismissal. Had seen those looks before. Humans were a young species. Earth had only made contact with the galactic community 40 years ago. To the older civilizations, humans were children who had somehow stumbled into the adults' meeting. "Captain Park," a voice came from behind her. It was instructor, a senior faculty member. Had 4 arms, compound eyes, and a way of speaking that always sounded like a polite insult. "I hope you are prepared for your assignment." "I am," said. Teaching tactical history to a mixed-species cohort is a difficult task. Many of these cadets come from proud warrior cultures. They will not easily accept lessons from a human. Turn to face, then they will learn. Made a clicking sound that might have been laughter. "You have confidence. That is good. You will need it." The instructor paused. "I have heard rumors that you plan to show the cadets footage from Earth's wars. It is part of my lesson plan. Some of that footage is intense. Perhaps you should wait until the cadets have adjusted to the academy." Shook her head. "They need to see it early, before they form wrong ideas about what humans are." His compound eyes seemed to study her. "And what are humans, Captain Park?" Did not answer. She simply turned back to the window and watched more cadets arrive. The orientation ceremony took place in the Grand Hall. It was a massive room with a ceiling that showed the stars outside. Flags from every member world hung from the walls. The human flag was small and placed in a corner near the back. Commander gave the opening speech. He was the senior human officer at the academy, a man in his 60s with gray hair and a calm voice. He welcomed all the cadets and spoke about unity, cooperation, and the importance of learning from each other. The alien cadets listened politely. Some of them whispered to each other when spoke about human contributions to the Galactic Defense Force. Their whispers were not kind. After the ceremony, walked through the corridors and listened to conversations. She heard a young named speaking to a group of other cadets. "Humans were only admitted because of political pressure," said. His voice was deep and confident. "Their planet is small. Their technology is basic. They have nothing to teach us." "I heard they fight each other constantly," said a named. She was small with nervous eyes. "They have wars on their own planet against their own kind." "Barbaric," said. "My people stopped fighting each other 10,000 years ago." "Maybe that is why they are so weak," said a named. His voice was wet and bubbling through his breathing mask. "They waste their strength on each other." A young stepped forward. Her name was, and her fur was orange with black stripes. "I have read about humans," she said. They are supposed to be very determined, very stubborn. Stubbornness is not strength, said. It is foolishness. The group laughed, kept walking. That night she sat in her quarters and reviewed her lesson plans. On her desk was a data chip containing footage from Earth's history. Centuries of war, centuries of death, centuries of horror that most species in the galaxy could not imagine. Her door chimed. She said, "Enter." Lieutenant Shin walked in. "The cadets are settling in," he said. "The alien barracks are full of talk about how humans do not belong here." Expected. Some of the human cadets are nervous. They feel unwelcome. Also expected. Looked at the data chip. "Tomorrow I will teach my first class." The footage. Yes. Shin was quiet for a moment. "Some of them will not handle it well." "I know. Some of them might quit." "I know that too." Shin nodded slowly. "Good, then you know what you are doing." Picked up the data chip and held it in her palm. It was small and light. It contained some of the worst moments in human history. It also contained the truth about what humans really were. "They think we are weak," she said. "They think we are young and foolish and primitive. They look at our small planet and our short history and they see nothing to fear. And you want to change that." Looked at Shin with steady eyes. "I want them to understand. Fear is optional. Understanding is not." She put the chip down. "If they are going to fight beside us, they need to know what we are capable of. If they are going to fight against us, they need to know what they are facing. And if they cannot handle the truth." Stood and walked to her window. Outside, the stars burned cold and distant. Somewhere among them was Earth, her home, the world that had taught her what war really meant. "Then they should not be soldiers," she said. "Tomorrow we find out who belongs here and who does not." The station was quiet. The cadets slept, and Captain Park prepared for a lesson that would change everything. The lecture hall was full when Captain Park walked in. 250 cadets sat in rows that curved around a central stage. The alien cadets filled most of the seats. The 50 human cadets sat together near the back, quiet and watchful. Walked to the center of the stage. She wore her uniform without decoration except for the service medal on her chest. She carried nothing but a small remote in her hand. "My name is Captain Park," she said. Her voice was calm but carried to every corner of the room. "I am your instructor for tactical history and species combat doctrine. This class will teach you how different species fight, why they fight, and what happens when they fight." A few alien cadets whispered to each other, heard the word human spoken with amusement. "Today we begin with humans," she continued. "You will learn about Earth. You will learn about our wars, and you will understand why this knowledge matters." Cadet raised his clawed hand. That was large, even sitting down. His scales were dark green and his eyes were golden. "Captain," he said, "why should we study human warfare? Humans are new to the galaxy. Your military history is very short compared to ours." "That is true," said. "Humans have only been among the stars for 40 years, but we have been fighting each other for thousands of years before that." "Fighting each other?" Cadet asked. The small looked confused. "You mean civil wars?" "I mean all wars. Wars between nations, wars between religions, wars between ideas, wars that lasted for years, wars that lasted for generations." The room became quieter. Some cadets looked interested, others looked disturbed. "My people stopped internal warfare long ago," said. "Once a species reaches a certain level of civilization, war among themselves becomes illogical." "For your species perhaps," said, "not for mine." She pressed a button on her remote. The lights dimmed. A large screen appeared behind her, filling the wall. "What I am about to show you is not a simulation," said. "It is real footage from Earth's history. Every death you see was real. Every scream was recorded. Every moment happened." She paused and looked at the cadets. Young faces looked back at her, some curious, some bored, some skeptical. "You may leave at any time," she said. "There will be no penalty. There will be no judgment. If you feel you cannot continue watching, you may stand and walk out. I will not stop you." Cadet the made a bubbling sound that was like laughter. "Captain, we are training to be soldiers. We have seen violence before." "Have you?" asked. She did not smile. "We will see." She pressed another button. The screen came to life. The first images were old, black and white. They showed a muddy field filled with trenches. Men in heavy coats and metal helmets crouched in the mud. Explosions sent dirt and bodies into the air. "This is called the First World War," said. "It took place over 100 years before humans reached space. It lasted 4 years. 20 million people died." The footage showed soldiers climbing out of trenches. They ran toward enemy lines. Machine guns cut them down in waves. They fell by the dozens, by the hundreds, and still more came behind them. Cadet the leaned forward in her seat. Her ears were flat against her head. "They are running toward certain death," she said. "Why do they not stop?" "They were ordered to attack," said, "so they attacked. But they knew they would die." "Yes, and they went anyway." The footage continued. Gas attacks, yellow clouds rolling across the battlefield, soldiers choking and screaming as their lungs burned, men with bandaged eyes, blinded forever, walking in lines with their hands on each other's shoulders. The room was silent now. Change the footage. This is the Second World War. It came 20 years after the first. 60 million people died. The screen showed cities burning, bombs falling from the sky, buildings collapsing, people running through streets filled with fire and smoke. Then it showed something else. Lines of thin, starving people behind wire fences, mass graves, bodies stacked like wood, children with hollow eyes and numbered tattoos on their arms. Cadet made a small sound. Her large eyes were wet with tears. "What is this?" she whispered. "Death camps," said. "Places where humans killed other humans. Not in battle, not for resources, for hate, for ideas about who deserved to live and who did not." "How many?" asked. His voice was different now, smaller. "Millions in just a few years." The footage changed again. A bright flash of light, a mushroom cloud rising into the sky. A city turned to ash in an instant. "Nuclear weapons," said. "We created tools that could destroy entire cities in seconds. We used them, twice." The room was completely silent. No one moved, no one whispered. Lieutenant Ho Shin stood at the back of the room. He watched the alien cadets carefully. He saw their faces change. He saw fear replacing arrogance. He saw understanding replacing dismissal. The footage kept playing. Wars in jungles, wars in deserts, wars in cities, soldiers fighting in streets while children hid in ruins, bombs falling on hospitals, drones striking weddings, suicide bombers walking into crowds. And through it all, something else. Soldiers carrying wounded friends through fire, medics running toward explosions, not away, men throwing themselves onto grenades to save their squad, women shielding children with their own bodies. Death and sacrifice, horror and heroism, all mixed together, all real. Cadet sat among the human cadets. She was young, only 19, the youngest in the human group. She watched the footage with a still face. She had seen it before, every human had. It was part of their education, part of their heritage, part of what made them who they were. She looked at the alien cadets around her. She saw their shock, their disbelief, their fear. They had called humans weak. They had called humans primitive. They had laughed at the small planet with the short history. They were not laughing now. The first alien cadet stood up, a young in the third row. He did not say anything. He simply walked to the exit and left. A moment later, another followed, then another. Did not pause the footage. She did not comment. She simply let it play. By the time the footage ended, 43 seats were empty. The footage ended. The screen went dark. The The lights slowly came back on. Captain Park stood at the center of the stage and looked at the remaining cadets. Many of them were shaking. Some had tears on their faces. One cadet was making a low, buzzing sound that recognized as distress, and in the front row had removed his breathing mask and was vomiting into a container. The human cadets sat quietly. Their faces were serious but calm. They had all seen this footage before. They had grown up with it. It was part of every human child's education. Gave the room a moment to recover. Then she spoke. What you just saw was a small sample of human warfare. Less than 1% of our recorded conflicts. I chose the footage carefully to give you a broad understanding without overwhelming you. Cadet raised his hand. This voice was hoarse when he spoke. Without overwhelming us, Captain, I have trained in warrior arts since I could walk. I have studied battles across 100 worlds. I have never seen anything like that. I know, said. Your people, they fight without limits, without rules, without mercy. Sometimes, yes. How? Asked. How can any species do this to itself and survive? Walked toward him. We survive because we must. We fight because we must. When humans go to war, we do not stop until the war is over. We do not accept defeat. We do not surrender our souls, even when we surrender our bodies. Cadet spoke up. This orange fur was standing on end. The soldiers who threw themselves on explosives to save others. The ones who ran into fire to rescue strangers. Why would they do that? Because that is what humans do, Lieutenant Shin said from the back of the room. We destroy and we protect, often at the same time. That is our nature. Cadet had recovered enough to speak. His voice was weak through his mask. In the footage there were children, fighting, dying, being used as weapons. Yes, said. That is monstrous. Yes, it is. And yet you show it to us as if it is something to learn from. Looked at him with steady eyes. It is something to learn from, not to copy, to understand. She turned to address the whole room. You came to this academy to become soldiers. You will serve in the Galactic Defense Force. You will protect civilizations. You will face enemies who want to destroy everything you love. She paused. And one day you may fight alongside humans or against us. Either way, you need to understand what we are. Cadet raised a trembling hand. The small was still crying. Captain Park, how do humans live with this history? How do you look at each other knowing what your species has done? It was a question had asked herself many times. She answered honestly. We remember. We teach our children what happened. We build monuments to the dead. We say never again, and sometimes we mean it. And then we keep living, keep building, keep hoping that each generation will be better than the last. And if they are not, then we fight again, and we mourn again, and we remember again. The room was silent. Could see the cadets processing what they had seen and heard. Some of them looked at the human cadets with new eyes, not with admiration, with something closer to fear. Cadet stood up from her seat. She was small among the human cadets, young and slim, but her voice was clear when she spoke. I was born during the Third Pacific Conflict, she said. My mother carried me through a city that was on fire. She ran for 3 days to reach safety. She did not eat. She did not sleep. She just ran, looked at the alien cadets. When I was 7, I asked her how she did it. She said she did not think about it. She just knew she had to keep me alive. The room listened. That is what humans are, continued. We do not think about whether something is possible. We do not calculate the odds. When something must be done, we do it, even if it kills us, especially if it kills us. Cadet looked at with wide eyes. Are you not afraid? After everything you have seen, everything you know about your own species. Considered the question. I am afraid, she said. Every human is afraid. We know what we are capable of. We know the darkness inside us. She paused. But we also know the light. The same species that built death camps also built hospitals. The same hands that dropped nuclear bombs also reached out to save strangers. We are not one thing, we are everything, all at once. She sat back down. The room remained silent. Looked at the empty seats where 43 cadets had been sitting. She did not feel regret. She felt something closer to satisfaction. By tomorrow morning, more of you will choose to leave, she said. That is acceptable. The footage I showed today was difficult. What comes next will be harder. Spoke again, his voice was different now. Humbled, what comes next? Training, real training. You will learn to fight like humans fight, not with our weapons or our tactics, but with our spirit, our refusal to quit, our willingness to sacrifice everything for the mission. Looked at each remaining cadet. Some of you come from warrior cultures. You have traditions of honor and glory in battle. That is good. Hold on to those traditions. She walked to the edge of the stage. But understand this. Human warfare is not about glory. It is about survival. It is about protecting the things that matter no matter the cost. When humans fight, we fight as if we have nothing left to lose, because often we do not. The class ended. Cadets filed out slowly. Some of them walked in silence. Some of them gathered in small groups, speaking in low voices. The human cadets left last, staying close together. Lieutenant Shin approached as the room emptied. That was intense, he said. It needed to be. Some of them looked like they might have nightmares for weeks. Good, nightmares now are better than shock in combat later. Picked up her remote and tucked it into her pocket. How many more do you think will leave? Shin thought for a moment. At least 50 more, maybe more. The ones who stay will be stronger for it. And the ones who leave looked at the empty seats again. They will go home to their safe worlds and their comfortable lives, and they will never truly understand what it means to fight beside humans. She turned toward the exit. Perhaps that is a blessing for them. She walked out of the hall. Behind her, the screen remained dark, but the images it had shown would stay in the minds of every cadet who had watched, forever. By morning, the number was worse than anyone expected. 97 alien cadets had submitted withdrawal requests. Almost half of the original 200 were leaving. Commander sat in his office and stared at the reports on his screen. His face was calm, but his hands were tight on the desk. Outside his window, transport ships were being prepared to take the departing cadets home. His door chimed. "Enter," he said. Instructor walked in. Thus 4 arms were crossed, and his compound eyes seemed to glitter with anger. Behind him came 2 other senior alien instructors, both looking equally displeased. Commander said, "We need to discuss what happened yesterday." "Please sit down." "I prefer to stand." His voice clicked with each word. "Captain Park's lesson has caused a disaster. Nearly half of our alien cadets are leaving. The Galactic Council is already receiving complaints from member worlds. Parents are demanding answers." Leaned back in his chair. What answers do they want? They want to know why their children were traumatized. They want to know why humans are allowed to show such horrific footage without warning. They want to know if this academy is safe for non-human species. Captain Park gave a warning before showing the footage. She told cadets they could leave at any time. "A warning is not enough," another instructor, a named, stepped forward. "Those images will haunt our young people for years. Some of them are seeking counseling. Some of them will not eat." Stood up slowly. He was not a tall man, but there was something in his posture that made the room feel smaller. "I have read the reports," he said. "I have spoken with our counselors. The cadets who left are shocked and frightened, yes, but they are not harmed. They saw truth. That is all." Truth made a sharp clicking sound. "You call that truth? Those images showed barbarism, cruelty beyond imagination. Is that what humans consider truth?" "Yes," said simply. "That is our history. We do not hide it. We do not soften it. We learn from it." Scales rippled with agitation. "You are proud of what your species has done." "No, we are aware of it. There is a difference." walked to his window and looked out at the ships. Every human child sees similar footage during their education. We believe in remembering, in understanding what we are capable of, both the terrible and the heroic. And you think alien children should see the same things? I think soldiers should, yes. The room was quiet for a moment, then spoke again, his voice lower. Commander, I must be direct. Some of us believe that Captain Park showed this footage deliberately to frighten alien cadets, to reduce competition for human officers, to make aliens look weak. Turned to face them, his expression did not change. You believe Captain Park sabotaged her own students. It is a possibility that has been discussed. Then discuss this, walked back to his desk. Captain Park could have shown footage that made humans look heroic. She could have shown battles where we saved alien worlds. She could have shown the best of humanity and hidden the worst. He sat down and looked at each instructor. Instead, she showed the truth, all of it. The gas attacks and the liberations, the death camps and the rescuers, the bombs and the rebuilding. She showed that humans are capable of the greatest cruelty and the greatest sacrifice. She hid nothing. Why? Asked. Because any soldier who fights beside humans needs to understand us completely, the good and the bad. If they cannot face what we are, they will break when they see what we do in combat. The door chimed again. This time it was Captain Park herself. She walked in and saw the gathered instructors. She did not seem surprised. Captain Park said, "We were just discussing your teaching methods." I heard, stood beside Commander. I stand by my lesson. 97 cadets are leaving because of you. 97 cadets are leaving because they learned the truth about their future allies. Better they leave now than freeze in battle when a human soldier makes a hard choice to save the mission. Growled low in his throat. You talk as if human methods are the only correct way to fight. No, I talk as if understanding is necessary for cooperation. His voice remained calm. Your people have noble traditions of warfare, instructor, honor codes, surrender protocols, rules that both sides follow. Yes, as civilized species should. Humans have those too. We create them before every war and then we break them, every time. Looked at him directly. When human survival is at stake, there are no rules, there are no limits. There is only victory or death. If your cadets cannot understand that, they will be shocked when they see it in battle, and shock in battle gets people killed. The room was silent. Finally spoke, and the cadets who remain, what happens to them? They train, said. They learn, and they become soldiers who understand what war really means. Not the glory, not the honor, the blood, the sacrifice, the choices that no one should have to make but everyone does. Commander stood. Instructors, I understand your concerns. I will report to the Galactic Council and explain our methods, but I will not apologize for them. The cadets who remain will be stronger soldiers. The cadets who leave will find other paths. Looked at for a long moment. Then he turned and walked out. The other instructors followed. When they were gone, sat down heavily. That could have gone worse. It could have gone better, said. The council will be angry. Let them be angry. They did not see what I saw in the Third Pacific conflict. They did not hold dying soldiers who asked why the aliens were not helping. They do not understand that soft allies are dead allies. Nodded slowly. The remaining cadets, how are they? Shaken but present, they came to breakfast this morning. They talked to each other. They asked questions. Allowed herself a small smile. They are already forming bonds, aliens and humans together. Shared trauma creates connection. Is that what you intended? Thought about it. I intended to show them the truth. Whatever comes from that truth is beyond my control. Looked at his screen again. 97 names, 97 cadets going home, 97 futures changing direction. 103 remain, he said. Make them worth it. I will, said. She saluted and walked out. Behind her, Commander sat alone in his office and wondered if the galaxy was ready for what humans would teach it about war, about sacrifice, about survival. He suspected it was not, but it would learn, one lesson at a time. 1 week passed. The academy was quieter now. The halls that had once been crowded with 250 cadets now held only 153. 50 humans and 103 aliens who had chosen to stay. They were different now. The easy arrogance of the first day was gone. The whispered jokes about primitive humans had stopped. Something had changed between the species. Something built on fear and respect and the shared memory of what they had witnessed. Captain Park stood at the edge of the training ground and watched the cadets prepare for their first joint exercise. They moved differently now. The aliens stayed closer to the humans. They watched them carefully, not with suspicion, but with a kind of fascination. Lieutenant Ho Shin walked up beside her. "They are ready," he said. "No one is ever ready, but they are as close as they can be." The training ground was a massive indoor space that could simulate any environment. Today it was set to urban combat. Broken buildings rose around the cadets. Smoke drifted through the streets. The sound of distant explosions echoed off the walls. Activated her communication device. "All cadets, this is your first joint combat simulation. Your objective is to secure the central building and extract a hostage. You will face automated enemies that will shoot to stun. Treat this as real. Move as one unit. Trust each other." The cadets formed into their assigned teams. Each team had both humans and aliens mixed together. Cadet was paired with Cadet the. Cadet the worked alongside 2 human cadets whose names were Won and Bin. The simulation began. The teams moved into the broken city. Watched on monitors as the cadets advanced. She saw something she had hoped for but not expected. The aliens were copying human movement patterns. They stayed low. They checked corners. They communicated with hand signals that humans had taught them. But they were also teaching the humans. Sensitive ears could hear enemies before anyone else. She directed through dangerous zones with soft whispers. Thick scales made him the perfect shield, and he positioned himself to protect his smaller human teammates without being asked. They were learning from each other, finally. The first enemy contact came fast. Automated drones appeared from behind a collapsed wall and opened fire. Stun bolts flew through the air. Cadet Bin went down, hit in the leg. Did not hesitate. He threw himself over Bin, using his body as cover while one returned fire. The drones fell. The moment passed. Watched help Bin stand. The human thanked him. The simply nodded and moved on. No words were needed. The teams pushed deeper into the simulation. More enemies, more challenges, more moments where aliens and humans saved each other. Near the central building froze. Her ears were flat against her head. "What is it?" asked. "I hear something. Inside the building, many enemies, more than we expected." Looked at the building. They were supposed to breach it and save the hostage, but if was right, they were walking into a trap. She activated her team communication. "All units, hold position. Possible enemy concentration in the target building." The other teams stopped. Team leaders gathered around, was there. So was the who had once mocked humans. So was the who had cried during the footage. "What do we do?" asked. His voice was still wet through his mask, but there was no mockery in it now. Thought the old human way would be to charge in, take losses, complete the mission. That was what the footage had shown. But she was not fighting alone now. She had allies, different species with different abilities. "Can you tell how many enemies are inside?" "At least 20, maybe more." "You are small and fast. Can you find another entrance?" The nodded quickly. "There is a ventilation shaft on the east side. I could fit through." "Your scales can take stun bolts. Can you lead a frontal distraction while enters from behind?" The showed his teeth in what might have been a smile. "I would be honored." "Your people can see in low light. Take a team through the basement, cut the power. When the lights go out, we all attack together. The straightened, a good plan, human. Smiled, it is an us plan, not a human plan. They moved into position, vanished into the ventilation shaft, led his team toward the basement, stood at the front door ready to draw fire. Counted down 3, 2, 1. The power went out. The building went dark, roared and charged through the front entrance, drawing every automated enemy toward him, appeared from behind and began disabling enemies with quick, precise strikes. The other teams poured in from multiple directions. It was chaos, but it was controlled chaos, every species using their strengths, every cadet trusting the others to do their part. In 3 minutes the building was secure. The hostage, a training dummy, was extracted. No team member was lost. When the simulation ended, the cadets gathered in the central plaza. They were breathing hard. Some were smiling. Others were shaking hands and touching shoulders in ways they would never have done a week ago. Captain Park walked among them. She stopped in front of Cadet. "You protected Ben without hesitation," she said. "Why?" Looked at the human cadet beside him. "Because he is my teammate, because that is what soldiers do. And your pride, your warrior traditions." Was quiet for a moment. "My people have songs about glorious battle, about individual heroes who win fame through combat." He looked at with his golden eyes. "Humans have monuments to the dead. You do not celebrate war, you mourn it, and yet you always answer when called." He touched his chest with one clawed hand. "There is more honor in that than in all our songs." Nearby, Cadet approached. "You led us today," she said. "You used everyone's abilities, you trusted us." "Of course I did," said. "But after everything you showed us, the footage, the wars, why would you trust aliens?" Thought about it. The footage showed what humans do when we are alone, when we fight only each other, when there is no one else to protect. She looked at the mixed group of cadets around her. "But you are here now. We are not alone anymore. Maybe that changes things." His ears came forward. "Maybe it does." That evening, the cadets gathered in the common area. Aliens and humans sat together. They talked about the simulation. They talked about their homes. They laughed and argued and shared food that tasted strange to each other's tongues. Captain Park watched from the doorway. Lieutenant Shin stood beside her. "It worked," he said. "It is starting to work," corrected. "They still have much to learn, we all do." "But they stayed. After everything, they stayed." Nodded. "They saw the worst of us and they stayed. That means something." Shin looked at the cadets. "What does it mean?" Watched offer her hand to the took it. They held on for a moment, two young soldiers from different worlds, connected by choice. "It means hope," said. "For the first time in a long time, I think it means hope." The academy was quiet that night. 153 cadets slept in their bunks, dreaming of battles to come. Some of those dreams were nightmares, some of them were not. But in the morning, they would all wake up together. They would train together. They would learn together. And when the time came to fight for real, they would stand together. Alien and human, different and the same, weak and strong, frightened and brave. Together. The end.